Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Shirtless Plantain Show, the soccer edition. This is your host, Mitch. I'm here as always with Mateus. Hi, Mateus. How are you?
Doing good, Mitch. I'm reeling off that Pink Panthers performance at the MLS All-Star game.
Sounds like he's doing well.
Sounds like he's doing great. Emily also is here. Hi, Emily. How are you?
I'm good. Olympics starts in 2 days. I'm gonna be super normal about it. It's gonna be
Yeah,
I'm gonna be
of
really
course.
chill and no anxiety. It's gonna be good.
Well, you gave me a gift, and that is a perfect segue into our first topic, which is the U.S. Women's National Team's send-off game, which I feel like when you schedule Costa Rica at home in Washington, D.C., you're kind of expecting to go out with a bang, to like ride some confidence into Paris. We rode a 0-0 draw into Paris, which is, we kept an unbeaten streak under Emma Hayes going, so we like that. I'm
all about
ever
positives.
I'm ever the optimist, and I'm going to keep looking at the positives. But Emily, I know the hand was hovering over the panic button last week when we were talking about the game against Mexico, a game we won. Is the hand on the panic button? Have you pressed it? Where are we at right now?
If I pressed it, it's definitely malfunctioning because like nothing happened. There no sirens went off. I was definitely like sitting there just like getting like more pissy and annoyed and frustrated and just like, this isn't going to be a good time watching these games. At least I'm prepared for it this time, whereas last Olympics it was just like, oh, holy fucking shit. It was like a bomb was dropped out of nowhere. But this time we're prepared for that to happen. We were just talking about the game a little bit, and upon reflection, Mateus, what was the stat that you gave us with our shots? If you're not frozen.
We're gonna presume the audience heard that.
It was a lot of shots to like no shots, basically. Some shots on target. No goals though. I don't know what the official stat was, but it was by Mateus.
Well, let's hope he joins back in and we don't have to talk about his games.
You can say that again. Anyway. And something about like 16 corners, no goals. So we're just kind of thinking you can't be creating that much and then going scoreless in the Olympics. Like a goal is going to happen, and we're going to come across teams who are much more attacking as well. So you'd have to think that there's going to be a lot more opportunities without 8 Costa Rican players in the box blocking everything. The keeper as well had a really good game, but it's just that has to do something to probably the mentals, going into a major tournament, not scoring, probably particularly for Sophia Smith, who didn't have a great World Cup as she kind of hoped to last time. That was kind of supposed to be the platform that launched her into like international superstardom. So I think there's a lot of pressure mounting on the young attackers.
Yeah, I think definitely on like a send-off game, you want it to be kind of like, you want to fuck up a team 5-0 and be like, yeah, we're here to fucking play. You want everyone to be on riding high confidence and stuff like that. And now it comes down to, like, how does the coaching staff handle it? How do they, like, because I think there's an easy way to look at this from a positive perspective, as I'm fucking great at. And it's that we dominated Costa Rica. Like, we were the better team. I watched the highlights today. There is not a single clip in the U.S.'s defensive half. The entire highlight package. Not a single clip. And yeah, we're playing a way worse opposition. We weren't expecting to be under a lot of like pressure, but and we ultimately didn't put the ball in the back of the net. But we shot the ball a lot of times on target. We created good chances. Like there's a lot of quality chances in there that just the soccer is a huge variant sport. It's why I like a stat called like XG. I know that some people are very anti it, and I think it's a way to look at the game for what it is of being a game of variance, and like the fact that sometimes you're gonna have 12 shots on target and it just won't go in. It's just not happening for you. And ultimately, at the end of the day, what Emma Hayes and the coaching staff and like what we as fans going into the tournament need to be like thinking about is like, we know how good these players are. Like, we know how good Sophia Smith, Mallory Swanson, and Trinity Rodman are. We know they can score goals. And I there's nothing in my brain that really thinks that's not going to happen. We've seen this team under Emma Hayes against better teams and better opposition that want to play more than Costa Rica did, where they're going to have more space and better results have come. So I'm not hitting panic buttons yet. Obviously,
I like that you said that as if we had like a really long history under Emma Hayes when it's like 2 other games.
The many years under Emma Hayes has taught me just to be patient in this national team, because
trust her.
She's been the U.S. coach for so long, for many moons at this point, and we've got a lot of data points on the board. So I'm definitely not hitting any panic buttons yet.
I think a big takeaway also that people came away with is that it's still kind of like the midfield is still a bit of a struggle. And I don't know at this point.
Well, it was an interesting choice to play Corbin Albert over Jaden Shaw when Rose Lavelle was the scratch. Because you'd think that you would want a like for like of an attacking player for an attacking player.
Yeah.
And instead went a little bit more defensive for it.
Well, they moved Lindsay into the 10, and then had Corbin playing kind of the Lindsay role.
Okay.
Where like, especially when you're playing low block, I think the things that Jaden Shaw does bring is like those through balls, and like that's someone who could unlock it. Whereas they put Lindsay at the 10, and she's then become the target for like crosses into the box, which she can do that, but she didn't do that against Costa Rica.
I don't know if crossing's the best strategy with this team. We don't exactly have a lot of big targets. Like
there was some like chipped balls in that were
I saw the Sam
nice
Coffey
ideas.
play. Like Sam Coffey hits one over the top, and Lindsay Horan like gets her foot on it and like almost is able to redirect it. It would have been a sick goal if they made it happen. They did not make it happen, unfortunately. Do we have any last thoughts going into the Olympics before we move on to MLS?
I guess my only thought was it would have been nice to have the defense tested more. I'm like super confident in our center backs. But we do have, we've flipped between Jenna Niswanger and Crystal Dunn on left back, and Crystal, like, we know what she's going to bring. It would be nice to see, like, Fox and Niswanger maybe tested more before going, but
I think
we're just going to find out.
At least that's a position in the team that we're pretty confident in. We, like, know what we're getting. Hi, Mateus. Welcome back.
Welcome back
how
to
is
the
your
show.
Wi-Fi? Oh my god, I can hear your voice. That's great.
I know. It's just completely random. That's so crazy. Anyway.
All right. Wow. Well, on that note, let's move on to MLS. And we're throwing to you first, Mateus, so let's help that Wi-Fi holds on. Atlanta got a win at home against Columbus this weekend. What did you think, Mateus?
Yeah, so this game was interesting for a lot of reasons. Notably, it's the first time in a while that neither Morris, obviously dearly departed to Middlesbrough, and Darlington Nagbe didn't start. It's Sawadsky and Matan in midfield. Their signing hasn't debuted yet either. Blanking on his name, the French guy. It doesn't matter. He's supposed to play on left side of midfield. And Columbus took it to Atlanta, dominated possession the entirety of the first half, got most of the shots on goal off of it, but weren't able to convert too many of them. They just converted the one. Diego Rossi puts it in the 36th minute off of a nice pattern of play. But Columbus probably deserved more from their first half dominance. And in the second half, they still had onto the ball, except for Stian Gregerson had two of the most violent headers from corners into the net I have ever seen in my entire fucking life. the second one in particular, he's dunking over 3 or 4 different Columbus defenders. And I understand Columbus is a team full of midfielders. He posterized an entire 5-man NBA lineup. Like, it was the most outrageous. Go look it up. 2 bullet headers past the backup goalkeeper Hagen. Atlanta had no real business winning this game beyond those 2 headers, but they deserve it all the way just off the strength of that alone. It was amazing. Congratulations to Atlanta winning in front of a pretty empty Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
I think I remember seeing there was like a protest, right, by the fans.
I must have missed it, but
that may have been a couple weeks ago. I know I peripherally saw that there was some sort of fan protest about raising prices, which all solidarity with them, but like I wasn't sure if that was this game or a prior one. But
Twitter these days, you'll see a tweet from 2 weeks ago that's like,
yeah,
is
exactly.
that from today?
Atlanta United not having the best season. They've sold a lot of their best players. Wiley, Almada, Yakimakis are all out the door. It's probably nice to get a nice win against a very good team. So good for them. Let's move on now to Emily. Your New York Red Bulls got a big win against Cincinnati. What'd you think?
Let's go, Red Bulls. Yeah, it's pretty nice after, what did you say last week? We just draw.
Well, that's
nice
still true. That I still need to make sure that's very true.
I mean, big fat W over here. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, this is a real return to some energy drink soccer. Without Forsberg's been out for a minute. So we turned to Lewis Morgan and Elias Manuel to do the work up top, and they were connecting really well. For some reason, Cincinnati decided to handicap themselves and not start Lucho or Orejano this match. I don't know, like maybe rotating after midweek games, but you're coming up against a break, and maybe it's a little disrespectful, to the Red Bulls not to start your best. But didn't work out, especially with they've got a depleted back line. They've got DeAndre Yedlin playing as a third center back, so interesting choices.
Recipe for success.
Yeah, definitely. It didn't work out.
There.
Lewis Morgan, in both halves, the Red Bulls were able to score like pretty early. They did put Lucho and Orejano on second half, but they just couldn't come with I think there was like 2 shots on target for Cincinnati to Red Bulls 9. So that's quite a stat there to tell you they weren't really troubled the whole game. Something that I think Red Bulls fans have been worried about is like who was going to replace Frankie Amaya after selling him. And it's definitely too early to tell, but the 19-year-old Ronald Donkor had like a really nice game. He was really good at playing out of pressure and tight pockets, so it's nice to see him. He was sat next to Edelman, so that could be a pairing that works for the rest of the season, or maybe we should buy someone, but does it seem likely? I don't know. But yeah, great win for us. Cincinnati, 3rd straight loss. You think in a time where Messi's not playing for Miami, that would be like Cincinnati trying to secure the Shield race, and it's now slipping away from them.
Yeah, now all of a sudden the All-Star break and Leagues Cup break is coming at a very good time for Cincinnati, where they can rest, recharge, and kind of get back after it after the break. Moving on now to another 3-2 in the West, which is Galaxy 3, Portland 2. We'll talk about another 3-2 later, which I'm very excited about talking about. But what happened in this one, Mateus?
Yeah, the Galaxy got it ahead with the Gabriel Pech, and we had a nice goal early in the second half from outside the box, side netting. But Galaxy kind of had, as you would expect from the Galaxy, a little bit more organized patterns of play, direct counter-attacking soccer, while the Portland Timbers were the Phil Neville team of our dreams, just flowing, doing whatever they want out there. Cabecita Rodriguez is probably the only organized player there, but not, just LA Galaxy hitting on the counter, hitting on with really direct soccer. Cabecito Rodriguez takes one back 2-1 off the left-hand side, staying wide and finishing past McCarthy. The Paintsel scores, the Moreno scores a really nice goal. All this to say, LA Galaxy really should have had, I think, more goals and given up less in this game. I think they have all the talent to do so. And they really conceded mostly because of John McCarthy, who was easily the weakest link in their team. Does not come out for crosses, as I said before. The goal that Moreno scored is a kind of a bullet volley from outside the box that kind of whizzes by his head. The keeper should be getting to that. He comes up big with a save late in the game that's kind of hit directly at him. But it's out of a team that has seemed so confident going forward and has some pieces in the back with Yoshida. Yamane had Cabecito Rodriguez's goal go through his legs this game, but overall, like, pretty good right back. McCarthy's a really weak link, and I gotta say, like, both these goals, I don't know if they should have been saved. There should have been better attempts on them. And yeah, I think Galaxy come out with a win at home. It was probably closer than it needed to be. The Portland Timbers are just, all their games are like this. You know, they either win 4-3 or they lose 3-2. Like, what the fuck are you gonna do?
They are fun. That's what we were talking about last week. The McCarthy conversation is interesting because, you know, when you think about it, like, the top 4 teams in the Western Conference are kind of all in a similar boat when it comes to goalkeepers, of just not being the best. Like, Hugo Lloris has been Hugo Lloris. He's been what I would expect him to be, which is not a good goalkeeper, because he's not. And then McCarthy's been fine. RSL has switched their goalkeeper, and Zach Steffen is not good anymore. And so it's like a weird situation where all these teams are pretty good, but all the goalkeepers are kind of in all of these teams.
Yeah, I mean, I'll vouch for Gavin Beavers being a really good young goalkeeper for RSL, but they don't even want to commit to him, which is crazy to me, because I don't think McGrath is not good at all.
McMath.
Wow.
I'm looking at Zach McGraw here because I got the Portland Timbers notes open. So
the disrespect this man has just received from.
That's all right. He deserves it. I don't know if you remember
former Rapid too.
Former Rapid.
Anything else on the goalkeeper conversation before I move on?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll talk about Lloris later. Lloris had quite a good game, actually, the second half against the Sounders. But yeah, you're right. Absolutely dog shit for all these teams. And it seems like a point investment that should be easy to make. And historically in MLS has been cheap to make, right? To find a good domestic goalkeeper. And that really hasn't been the case in the West this season. And really, even in the East, I mean, we've sold all of our good goalkeepers recently, right? I mean, Chris Brady's down in Chicago. Matt Freese has come alive in New York City, but
not everyone.
Yeah, it's actually a weird discussion I haven't thought about before.
Yeah, I guess I hadn't put that much thought into it this season. But does MLS kind of have a goalkeeping problem this year? Like, even someone like Roman Berkey that won goalkeeper of the year, in accordance with St. Louis taking a nosedive this year, he has also not been as good.
Yeah.
Bad goalkeeping equals exciting games, so.
That's true. Maybe the value of the league is better because of bad goalkeeping.
The fix is in, actually.
Yeah,
the fix is in.
We're generating Garber bucks.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we're gonna move on now to a game with probably bad goalkeeping because there were 7 goals in it. Houston beat Vancouver 4-3. Emily, what happened?
Yeah. I don't even know if it was bad goalkeeping, honestly. And for a goal of 7 games, it didn't really have the tempo that you probably thought that it would. First half was sluggish, plodding. It felt like Houston's goals were incidental, rather than we have these sustained attacks. But it seemed that they were gonna cruise to a result. But Vancouver actually made it difficult for them in the second half. Surprisingly, they made some tweaks, brought some players in. Baby Berhalter actually played quite a role in their comeback to make it 3 consecutive goals. He was doing some like deep playmaking, had some nice service on set pieces.
Sorry to cut you off real quick.
Yeah.
Just quick tangent about Sebastian Berhalter. I thought it was really
Mhm.
funny that during the whole saga, when like some freaks were, or like people were going hard to get Greg fired, they were like in Sebastian's comments. It's like,
Ugh,
what's that gonna do?
I was
Anyway,
thinking,
continue.
I was like, what's it like to be him? So interesting. Anyway, yeah. Fafa Picoult had a brace in this little run of 3 goals. He's on fire a bit. And it became kind of a chaotic frenzy once Vancouver did go up 3-2, which kind of sparked Houston out of nowhere. Actually, after a VAR check for a potential penalty for Vancouver, which could have made it 4-2 and put it away. Brad Smith just launched like a scorcher into the net to equalize it. And that, turned the momentum. Houston found the winner out of like a really chaotic scrum in the box. What's his name?
Griffin Dorsey.
Griffin Dorsey, that guy, my favorite player. memorable player. He finds the winner, and it's a valuable 3 points for those two, from where they're sitting in the table, I think.
Awesome. Exciting game. Moving on now to a less exciting one because LAFC completely demoed Seattle. What happened to this?
What's funny is for the entire second half, Seattle kind of demoed LAFC, and Hugo Lloris, I don't want to say stood on his head because it wasn't really that hard.
He stood on business.
Did not need to say that.
Yeah, exactly, Emily.
He saved the shots that came his way. I'll put it that way. But he did his job.
He did his job.
He did his job. But you're right, Mitch. LAFC 3, Seattle 0 in Seattle. This is a weird one. It got to start off pretty funny with a pretty hilarious penalty. Nuhu, it was kind of a weird scramble in the box. Ball saved by Stephen Fry, but it kind of squirms out from Hunter him. Nuhu's like kind of retreating from his like scrambling center back position, or I guess he's left back, but like, and kind of falls over Stephen Fry and slaps the ball with his hand. And then there's like, it's like a, U8 pile up in front of the goal. And then out of that, whoever the ref was, I'm blanking on the name here, points to the penalty spot. It goes to VAR, but like hand on the ball, what are you gonna do? So Wonga rifles that pen into the net like he tends to do. I think he scored everyone this season. Mateus Bogusz scored a scorcher from outside of the box off of like a was a cross from a dead ball that was kind of like headed out, like skied out, and he just side foots it into like kind of half volley into the left side netting to make it 2-0. And then at this point it had been a balanced match. Seattle starts to just take possession, and LAFC goes all the way back, and just the next 70 minutes just kind of absorbs pressure. They're playing a different formation. Normally they play in a 4-3-3. They started out, the broadcast called the 3-4-3. I think it was more of a 5-3-2, with like real wing backs and Campos and Valencia. And just like pragmatically sat back, let Seattle have the ball. Pedro de la Vega started this match for the first time in 6 months, coming back from his MCL injury. Didn't do much, got subbed off at the half. They had Reed Baker Whiting in the phase of attack, which is really exciting for me personally to see as a prospect, who's normally a fullback prospect, play up that high, and have confidence in him. But he wasn't too exciting, unfortunately, in the attacking phase. Until the second half, when Seattle starts piling on pressure. Shots from João Paulo from outside the box. Morris had a nice header that Hillary's got to. But he saved everything. And then late in the match, 75th minute, Blanca gets on just a clearance, like launched out, beats everybody in defense, runs past everybody, fires it back Stephen Fry to make it 3-0. But yeah, this is definitely, I don't want to say a smash and grab because it was fucking 3-0. But this was really Seattle controlling possession, right? LAFC not really wanting to fight for possession at all, just hunkering the whole time and holding on to the points they got away from home. Kind of a good illustration of both managers, right? A lot of counter pressing from Schmetzer, Cherundolo, who we talked about being a little bit more pragmatic for the U.S. men's national team. If that were to be the case, kind of hoping it's not. But that kind of illustrates what kind of manager he is. Like, he's going to out of town. Like, he's gonna take the lead and hunker. So yeah,
Out of town.
Awesome. Moving on now to the other side. The New York team's actually in the city, but I'll slander them again by saying they're baseball merchants.
I think they played in Orlando.
Well, I'm still going to take every opportunity about NYCFC to call them baseball merchants. They drew with Orlando 1-1. What'd you think, Emily?
They sure did. Pretty even game. Funny, basically all the action happens in like a span of 5 minutes in the second half. Oh my god, Ojeda, that guy. He did all the work on the left flank. He cuts in on his right to take the shot, and then Romero Enrique basically runs in front of it, but it deflects into the goal. And the way Enrique celebrated, you would have thought he hit it upper 90.
Can I just say,
pretty funny, yeah.
Enrique does that every single match. When he does, in this case he started, but as a super sub, he gets a deflection off a corner, he scores, he celebrates like he's like a fucking Pushkas winner every single time. Continue.
I found that to be funny, maybe endearing. Silly boy. And then like 4 minutes later, City pounce on a mistake in the back from Orlando. Hannes Wolf finishes it pretty clean, and then kind of back and forth the rest of the way, though pretty even. I think City probably created the more clear-cut chances. And then Matt Freese did make a couple of good saves to keep it 1-1. So fair draw, not much to say. Baseball merchants, humidity merchants.
Exactly. That's what we're always saying about Orlando.
Okay.
All right, moving on to the last game of the weekend that we're covering.
Wow. We're going to talk about this one for 20 minutes, John.
Let's give Mitch
that is exactly why I saved it for last. Because I wanted to like either just gauge it on the amount of time that we had taken so far in the rest of the episode. The Rapids beat Fake Salt Lake for the Rocky Mountain Cup this weekend. And that makes me happy. What's up?
We can take like 5 minutes to talk about the TIFO. We can start there.
Sure. We can talk about the TIFO. I didn't hear no bell. I didn't hear no fucking bell.
Now explain what that means to people who don't know. We all know, but explain that to other people.
Well, the show South Park takes place in Colorado, which means we have free use to just use it all the time.
You see,
and so
non-South Park. See, I thought this was going to be soccer related, non-South Park watcher. So thank you.
I also don't watch South Park. But it was a cool TIFO we did for Rocky Mountain Cup, and it was very, very fun. I went to this game with a lot of friends, like I said last week that I was going to do. Pro of going with a lot of friends is it's a great time, and like they had a good time. It was a fun environment and stuff. Con of going with a lot of friends, when there's a rain delay at halftime, you're probably going to go to a bar and not go to the rest of the game if it gets continued, which is what happened. So I did not stay after the rain delay, unfortunately, but we won the game. And it really sucks that there was a rain delay because I really wish that the entire it was a full stadium. I wish that the entire.
How long was the rain delay? How long was it?
2 hours.
Oh, okay.
They're
going to be 40 minutes. It's like, you're a bunch of scrubs.
It was a game's worth of rain delay. We stayed for 30 minutes and we're like, okay, let's go to a bar.
Fair enough.
I wish that there wasn't a rain delay or lightning delay. So the whole stadium could have been there to celebrate the Rocky Mountain Cup because the stadium was really bumping. I'm glad that at least the first half that we got to see was 2-1 first half. There was 3 goals in it, because then my friends were not going to kill me for a 0-0 one half of soccer. But it was a wonderful, wonderful goal by Jonathan Lewis for our first. He assisted the second to Sam Vines. I think Jonathan Lewis might be a good soccer player again. Which is crazy.
That's not true.
I didn't think that's possible, but Jonathan Lewis might be good at soccer again, which is something.
He's got Rocky Mountain Cup glasses on right now.
Call him up, Cherundolo.
Please don't call Jonathan Lewis to the national team again. We don't need to do that. But I think he might be a good soccer player again, which is great for the Rapids, especially since everyone's favorite player, Kevin Cabral, is out for a while with an injury.
Damn it.
Yeah, I know. It's a bummer because we don't get Mitch Kevin Cabral rants for like the next few months. So we had 2 homegrowns score in this game. Cole Bassett scored the winner. Sam Vine scored the second. We love some Colorado boys scoring in the Rocky Mountain Cup. It's coming back home for the first time in like 4 years, I think, is the last time we had the Rocky Mountain Cup.
It's coming home, really?
Yeah. No Chicho
The Rocky Mountain
Rongo.
Cup, yes.
No Chicho Rongo. It's a Mickey Mouse Cup.
No, I don't fucking care. Nothing you say can rattle me. We won the cup. That's all that matters. It was wonderful. A 3-2 game. Zach Steffen, please be better. That first goal was bad. The second one was sick as fuck. There's nothing you could have done about it. First one, do better, man. But this team is great. I love the Colorado Rapids so fucking much. Moise Bombito's an all-star. That needs to be mentioned because he's my fucking boy, and I've been advocating him all season, and he's an all-star. I'm glad that I got to see him. Probably one of the last games he plays as a Rapid before he goes to Leon. And the price is only going up, Leon. So, start bidding, start sending us serious offers. I guess that was shorter than I expected, but we won the Rocky Mountain Cup. I'm very, very happy about that.
What about Chris Armas and his
celebrations? I think it's time to build the statue. I think we renamed Dick's Sporting Goods Park Armas Park. We start building that beautiful statue with that beautiful bald head. And
you can rub it for luck.
I was talking to a coworker today about Chris Armas, and he's like, I mentioned like, oh yeah, I wasn't a fan of the signing, like when we hired him and stuff, and he was like, he's a Detroit Lions fan, and he was like, he always seemed like a Dan Campbell kind of guy to me, and I feel like that's a great analogy. I think as an Arsenal fan, I'm a little bit more inclined to have a more tactical-minded manager because it's just more what I'm used to as a soccer fan. But like a rah-rah kind of guy that's gotten all the players to buy in and fucking go for it, it's really fun. It is really fucking fun. So if anything, the Rapids are fun. We're a great team. We won the Rocky Mountain Cup. We're going to be hosting a playoff game this year. I'm so excited. I think that's where we're going to end it.
Wow.
I think we're going to end this episode of the soccer edition.
No talking about the MLS Skills Challenge.
We're not talking
No,
about
we're not going to talk about the MLS Skills Challenge. That's all for us this week. Say peace.
Kamala is Brat.
Don't quote me on that.
Take your shirt off. Take your shirt off. Plenty. Plenty.